You want revenge. You want those who hurt you to feel regret, to feel the same pain you once felt. Maybe it's the person who betrayed you, mocked you, took advantage of your kindness, and then turned their back when you needed them most. That feeling is raw, like a wound that never heals no matter how many years go by. And sometimes you ask yourself, is there any justice for what I've endured? But stop for a moment. Let me tell you this. Something that may make you rethink the idea of revenge. Revenge is not about causing them pain. True revenge is becoming so strong that their existence no longer affects you. They no longer have the power to control your emotions. They no longer can touch your peace. And one day when they happen to see you confident, calm, successful, and radiant, they will realize that the cruelest thing you ever did was not to strike back, but to live better than they imagined. You see, people can steal many things from you, your trust, your love, your innocence, even your dignity. But there is one thing they cannot take away, your capacity to be reborn. Every wound is proof that you have lived, learned, and overcome. And that right there is true strength. So this video is not about revenge through words, through actions, or through outbursts of anger. It is about how you turn pain into strength, turn betrayal into motivation, and turn loss into rebirth. Because the greatest revenge is not making others fall. The greatest revenge is that you remain standing, still smiling, and keep moving forward while they remain stuck in their own poor choices. Stay until the end of this video, because I will show you how to turn every wound into strength, every silence into a weapon, and every pain into a stepping stone for your life to enter a new chapter where no one can hurt you anymore. Before we talk about action, we must first understand the mindset. Stoicism does not promote indifference or numbness, but it teaches one essential truth. The greatest power does not lie in hurting others, but in mastering yourself. A Stoic does not seek revenge through emotional violence. They seek revenge through self-control, inner strength, and real results. When you view your pain through this lens, revenge transforms from an outward act into an inner transformation. Feelings of insult, anger, and the desire to prove yourself are all natural reactions. Stoicism teaches that these emotions are not enemies, but data, signals showing which of your values have been affected. Instead of letting those emotions drag you into cycles of retaliation, a Stoic asks, what can I do with this? What is this trying to teach me about myself? That question opens a different path, using pain as fuel to learn, to build, and to grow. Another important aspect is distinguishing between what you can control and what you cannot. You cannot control other people's actions, the past, or the words that have already been spoken, but you can control how you respond, your attitude, and your next actions. When you focus your energy on what can be changed, your skills, knowledge, new relationships, and health, you not only free your energy, but also reclaim the power that pain once took away. Finally, Stoicism reminds us that true honor is not based on making others suffer, but on preserving your own dignity. Courageous silence, steady focus, and quiet progress. These are subtle yet far more powerful forms of revenge than any words could ever be. When you live better, when your results speak for you, it is not luck or accidental payback. It is a deliberate strategy. You are giving life back a stronger version of yourself. When you grasp the Stoic spirit, you will realize that revenge is no longer a spontaneous act, but a journey of rebuilding yourself, quiet yet relentless. Because every word, every reaction lasts only for a moment, while results endure forever. And nothing makes those who once hurt you feel more confused, tormented, and diminished than when they see you successful. Yes, success. That is the most powerful and elegant form of revenge. Success is not an impulsive reaction, but a systematic and undeniable response. When someone hurts you, the first instinct is often to shout, explain, or find a way to make them hurt back. That path is visible, but short-lived. It drains your energy and leaves scars on you. The other path, the path of the silent conqueror, is to turn every resentment into purposeful action. When you invest your time, effort, and intellect into yourself, the results will speak for you. replacing every accusation or defense you no longer need to make. To turn success into revenge, you need a plan and discipline. First, define clear goals. What you want to achieve in 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. Second, break those goals down into daily habits. Small, repeated steps are what create big change. Third, measure and adjust. Track progress. Learn from mistakes and keep going. A Stoic does not count other people's words, they count the results they produce. When you persist in working quietly, the world will be forced to listen through your results. Many people fear that living for success will make them cold or emotionless. On the contrary, true success comes from self-respect and personal responsibility, not from hatred. You do it for yourself, to prove that you deserve a better life, not to humiliate anyone. And when success comes, it not only speaks for you, but also gives you back the most important things: freedom from the past, the right to redefine yourself, and the ability to live by your own standards. Success is the loudest answer, but to achieve it, you must master another art, the art of silence. Because there will come a time when your path no longer requires explanations, only absolute focus. Silence is not weakness. It is the phase when you are quietly building, preparing for a greater leap. And it is precisely when you stop talking and stop reacting that the world starts to pay attention. In a world full of noise, the one who knows how to stay silent is the one truly to be feared. Silence is not a sign of weakness, it is the highest expression of inner strength. When you choose silence, you no longer react on impulse, nor allow others to control your emotions. The Stoics understood that peace does not lie in how many words you speak, but in your ability to remain composed without saying anything. Silence is when you take back your power from those who once fed on your reactions. They no longer know what you think, how you feel, or what you are preparing, and that uncertainty is what makes them afraid. In the past, they were used to you explaining, arguing, pleading, or trying to prove yourself. But now when you stay silent, the game ends. They lose their emotional supply, their control, and are finally forced to face themselves. Silence, therefore, is not defeat. It is the victory of someone who understands that not every battle is worth fighting. Silence is also the time you turn inward, listening to yourself instead of the noise outside. You learn to recognize your pain, understand its cause, and begin to heal. When you stop explaining and stop justifying, your mind gains the space to recover and rebuild. In that stillness, you gradually realize that your true worth never depended on anyone else's recognition. And then one day, your silence will speak for everything. It will make those who left you rethink, and those who once looked down on you lift their heads. Because nothing haunts a person more than realizing that your absence is worth more than every word you ever spoke. So use silence as your most refined weapon, not to hurt, but to prove that you have risen above. In a world full of noise, the one who can remain silent is the one truly strong. Silence helps you regain your strength, but to truly rise above, you must know what to do with what remains inside you. Pain. Because silence is only the first step towards self-mastery, while transforming pain is the path of true mastery. The Stoics did not run from suffering, they turned it into energy. Every wound is a reminder that you have lived, loved, and believed. And now it is time to turn all of that into fuel to rise, not for revenge, but for rebirth. Pain is something no one can avoid, but how you face it will determine who you become. When someone betrays, hurts, or abandons you, your first feeling is to strike back, to make them understand the pain you are carrying. But a Stoic understands that revenge does not lie in making them suffer. It lies in turning that very pain into fuel to go further, to rise higher, to become stronger. Because if you know how to use it correctly, pain will no longer be a burden, but the flame that propels you to a new height. Pain is life's harshest test. It strips away everything superficial, leaving behind a raw emptiness. And it is within that emptiness that you find the chance to be reborn. The Stoics did not avoid emotions. They faced pain directly, observed it, and learned from it. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" they asked, "What can I learn from this?" When you change the question, you change the entire direction of your life. Turn your pain into the motivation to grow. Let it remind you that you are still alive, still capable of feeling, and still have the power to choose. You can choose to let pain destroy your faith, or choose to let it strengthen your resilience. Every time you rise after a failure, you are proving that pain cannot defeat you. Every time you choose action over complaint, you are transforming suffering into strength. And when you walk through those dark days, you will realize one thing. Pain did not destroy you, it refined you. It made you deeper, more steadfast, and no longer easily broken. When you learn to use pain as fuel, no one can control you through your emotions anymore. They may make you cry, but they cannot make you fall. Because now you know how to turn your tears into energy. The energy to grow, to be reborn, and to live a life where pain is nothing more than the engine that drives you forward. When you learn to turn pain into strength, you will realize something even deeper. No one can hurt you again if you know how to control your reaction. Because pain does not come from what others do, but from how we respond to it. The Stoics understood that true power lies in the ability to remain calm in the midst of chaos. And that is the next step on this journey. To learn how to control your reactions so that no one can ever touch the peace within you again. Controlling your reaction does not mean suppressing it. It is the art of awareness. When someone does something that hurts you, pause. Take a deep breath. Observe the emotion rising within you without rushing to judge it. Ask yourself, which reaction can I choose to keep my peace? That is the moment you separate yourself from instinct and step into the realm of consciousness. The Stoics called it the golden gap, the space where you have the power to choose your attitude instead of being pulled into emotion. Every time you respond differently, you reclaim your control. When someone says something hurtful, you can choose silence. When they judge you, you can choose to smile. When they try to create conflict, you can take a step back and let them battle their own shadow. That is not weakness. It is the strength of someone who no longer allows others to define their emotions. Like a still lake, no matter how strong the wind blows, it continues to reflect everything clearly without losing its natural calm. Controlling your reactions is also how you protect your energy. Think of it as a precious resource. You only have a limited amount each day. If you spend it all arguing, getting angry, or explaining yourself, you'll have nothing left for what truly matters: learning, creating, loving, and living with purpose. So every time you stay calm, you're saving energy to invest in a better version of yourself. In practice, you can try the 3-step rule. First, breathe, to slow down your emotional reflex. Second, observe, to recognize what is triggering you. Third, choose, to respond in a way that brings peace, not short-term victory. It may be difficult at first, but the more you practice, the clearer it becomes. Calmness is not something you're born with. It's a skill you build each time you face a challenge. And perhaps the most remarkable thing about controlling your reactions is this: you are no longer manipulated by others. You no longer need to win every argument, to be understood, or to clear your name, because you understand that truth doesn't need to be shouted. It proves itself over time. Your only task is to stay grounded, act in alignment with your values, and let life speak for you. When you reach that point, no one can touch your inner peace. Insults feel like passing wind. Challenges become gentle tests of your growth. You become the captain of your own emotional ship, sailing through storms with calm eyes, not because the wind has stopped blowing, but because you have learned how to keep your hands steady on the wheel. When you have learned to control your reactions, you are no longer swept away by emotions or pointless battles. You are ready to move on to the next stage, where every action you take is no longer a reaction, but a strategy. For the greatest revenge does not lie in words, but in the way you live. Now is the time you need a clear, practical, and powerful plan, a roadmap to turn all the hurt, failures, and betrayals into the foundation for your new life. Join me as we go through those 10 steps. To turn pain and silence into lasting strength, you need a clear roadmap, something not vague, but immediately actionable. Starting today, make a commitment to yourself through these 10 practical steps. Each one a brick you lay to build a life that no one can ever touch again. First, start with a digital cleanse. Hide, block, or remove the connections that keep dragging you back to your wounds. Social media is not a courtroom for justice. It's an emotional trap if you keep looking back. This is not an act of hatred. It's a way to protect your inner space so you can focus on rebuilding instead of reopening old scars. Next, set a clear 12-week goal, one that is challenging enough to pull you out of your wounded state, yet realistic enough to accomplish. Breaking a big goal into smaller milestones helps you see daily progress and maintain motivation. This goal could be learning a skill that generates income, completing a health project, or finishing the first chapter of the book you've always wanted to write. Third, build a daily learning habit. Spend 30 to 60 minutes reading, taking an online course, or practicing a skill. Knowledge is a silent and lasting weapon. When you invest in your abilities, you're investing in a future that no one can take away. On the days you feel sad or lost, knowledge will be the force that helps you rise again. Fourth, put your health first. Exercise regularly at least 3 times a week, eat mindfully, and get enough sleep. A strong body gives you energy, emotional balance, and steady determination. Those who are hurt often lose their rhythm in life. Restoring your body is the first step to restoring your spirit. Fifth, build a new network. Take the initiative to meet positive people, learn from those ahead of you, and connect with others who share your goals. Good relationships won't erase your pain, but they open doors for you to grow. So you no longer need validation from those who once hurt you. Sixth, take action to create visible results. Write an article, complete a product, or join a project that can be seen and evaluated by others. Results need no explanation. They speak for your worth on their own. When you have tangible proof of your progress, the words that once hurt you begin to lose their power. Seventh, practice the discipline of time management. Create a daily schedule, prioritize tasks that bring long-term value, and eliminate activities that drain your energy without purpose. Discipline is not self-punishment. It's how you show respect for your own time, the most precious asset no one can ever give back to you. Eighth, practice intentional silence. Set aside periods where you don't check social media, don't talk about the past, and focus solely on your work and recovery. This silence becomes a container for creativity and energy, a space where you quietly transform pain into action. Ninth, keep a weekly progress journal. Write down 3 small wins, 3 lessons learned, and 1 plan for the upcoming week. This helps you track your growth, stay accountable, and see the bigger picture forming over time. When you can see real evidence of progress, the feeling of being hurt gradually fades away. Finally, commit to a long-term project that holds personal meaning, something that gives you a reason to wake up with purpose each morning. This project could be starting a business, completing an advanced course, or creating a work of art. When you live for a greater purpose, the people who once hurt you become nothing more than a past chapter in your story, while you are busy writing the next one, in bold. Each step in this plan is not a battlefield for petty revenge, but a path to rebuild your dignity. Remember that results do not arrive overnight. They come from perseverance, from actions repeated every day. Turn pain into motivation to act, silence into strategy, and failure into fuel. When you persist with this roadmap, the life you build will be the most powerful, wordless response, causing those who once hurt you to look back in silence and regret. By the time you've watched this far, a part of you has probably gone quiet, because you've realized that the revenge you've been seeking all this time isn't about making someone suffer, but about no longer being controlled by them. You've walked a long journey from pain, anger, and confusion to the moment you learn to stay silent, to act, and to rise for yourself. That is not just healing, that is rebirth. They once thought you would fall, that you would stay trapped in the mud of your pain, crying, blaming, or trying to prove something. But they were wrong. You did not fall. You turned pain into strength. You did not seek to prove anything. You let time and results do that for you. And when you walked forward with calmness, you reclaimed the power they once took away. Because true power does not lie in controlling others, but in the ability to control yourself. Remember, your silence confuses them, your composure haunts them, and your success is the heaviest sentence they must live with. Because while they remain trapped in ego, in regret, in old memories, you have moved forward, living a life that no longer belongs to them. That is the most noble form of revenge. The Stoics taught, Do not let your soul be led by the emotions of others. And today you understand that clearly. You no longer react to insults, no longer crumble before indifference, and no longer need to prove your worth to anyone. Because you've realized that true worth doesn't need validation. It shines on its own through your actions and character. You don't need to go back to show them that you've changed. You just need to keep moving toward where you truly belong, where peace is undisturbed, where self-respect is your compass, and where your life is rewritten by your own hands. When you get there, they will see. They will see without you saying a single word. They will realize that what they lost wasn't just you. It was the chance to stand beside someone who has mastered the art of self-control. Look in the mirror and say to yourself, I am strong enough to forgive, but no longer weak enough to go back. I don't need to prove anything anymore. I just need to live better, calmer, and happier. That is the greatest victory. Because success is not a stage for applause. It is a state of being where you no longer need it. So if these words resonate with you, leave a commitment in the comments. Just one sentence. I rise. No need for long or fancy words. Just those 4 letters to remind yourself that from today, you no longer live in someone else's story. You are rewriting your own through strength, through discipline, through silence, and through faith. Hit like if you can feel this energy. Share this video with anyone who needs an awakening so they'll know that pain is not the end. It's the beginning of a new chapter. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the upcoming videos, I'll continue to walk with you through the lessons of Stoic philosophy. Learning how to live with self-mastery, calmness, and happiness in a world full of change. Because in the end, the greatest revenge is not making them regret. It is living a life they can never touch again. And that is true freedom.